In this video, we're going to talk about the digital product passport, about everything what we know today, because it's still in development as new EU regulation. My name is Hans de Geer. I'm a co-founder of Syncforce, working in the Surpass team and also with our customers on preparing for the new EU regulation. And there are a lot of questions on this digital product passport. And in this sort of introduction video, I want to sort of explain what we know today, because like we said, a lot of things are still moving. What is the DPP? The DPP is part of a bigger EU regulation. It's part of the ESPR regulation. And the ESPR is the Eco-Design Sustainable Product Regulation. It has just been approved, so it now also has a number. It's Regulation 2024/1781. Within this ESPR regulation, we will also have the DPP as an essential part. So the digital product passport is part of that. The goal of the ESPR is to protect natural resources, enabling the EU to move towards a fully circular economy, and that will include new regulations with new requirements and also a DPP to help realize that. The DPP has 4 key objectives. The first objective is just to enhance sustainability and circularity by sharing information, making information available for all economic actors across the life cycle of a product. So starting in sales, retail, usage by consumers or professionals, and also, of course, garbage collectors, sorting installations, recycling, remanufacturers, repair centers. So everybody involved, extending the life cycle of a product or reducing the environmental impact. The DPP has also a second major goal, and that is to create new business opportunities. So they want to enable repair centers and remanufacturing companies, but also new ways to recycle stuff by providing more data on the product so that they can use that data to run these new business opportunities. The third part is related to the government itself. So that's all about ensuring compliance. So in the future, there will be new norms, maybe there's new threshold levels for certain indicators. And then with the passports, the government and the customs can check whether products from China coming into Europe, do they have the right DPP information provided, and do they comply to the current standards? So it's also for government and regulators very important new tool. Now, last but not least, it's meant for making better decisions to buy products. So that can be in the procurement phase. So retailers putting more sustainable products on shelf. There the DPP can help providing that information. And last but not least, also consumers, which are looking to buy new products, that they can sort of pick the most sustainable version. Now, the ESPR will govern quite a lot of product categories, but not all categories. For instance, food, pet food, and pharmaceuticals are not included in the ESPR, and other categories are, like furniture, tires, detergents, and the most mature one at the moment, garments and footwear made out of textiles. So that will most likely be one of the first categories to have a digital product passport, and in this presentation we'll also use garments and shoes as the example to show you where we are today. Now, the ESPR mentions 16 aspects related to circularity to be included in digital product passports. And these are aspects like the durability of a product, so how long does it last, the repairability, is it easy to repair, what's the energy use and the energy efficiency, something we already knew from previous regulations, the energy labels for new fridges or for cars, which are already used in the market, but also what part is made out of recycled content and what's new virgin content, and how easy is it to recover materials once we start recycling. That's just a few of the aspects which have been defined, which is sort of a standard list across all digital product passports, because the passport will be defined by the industry and the EU together per category. So at this moment, various work groups in the EU are now working on the setup of the digital product passport for garments and footwear made out of textile. So they're looking at what's relevant for textile made garments, you could say. And not all aspects are relevant for textiles. If you look at energy efficiency, for instance, that's not relevant because garments do not run on power or batteries. So that one will most likely not be included, but other aspects like durability are highly important. If an aspect is then considered relevant, then the next step is to define indicators within that aspect. So how can we now determine durability, in this case for garments and shoes? Now, two candidate indicators to do that is that one is that the propensity of textile fabrics to pill. So this how quickly does a fabric pill for instance, made from your shirt or your coat. And the other one is the color fastness of textile. So how fast does the color deteriorate if you put it into light, so natural light, artificial light, or due to washing cycles. So these two are now currently considered to be included. And then how are we then mentioning quality levels or threshold levels within an indicator? This will all be normalized. So we have DIN, EN, ISO norms per indicator, which will say, okay, this is the test you should use. This is the different values we get. So if you look at the pilling rate, the Grado pilling it's called, it has a scale 1 to 5. It's done by a specific test with a specific machine that rubs the textiles, and after rubbing for a long time, a camera detects the pilling level, and that determines the quality of the pilling. Now, the same, there is a test for putting a product, expose it to high intensity light, and then we can see how fast do the colors fade, and that will then have a norm. So it's not just, oh, I have nice indicators which I can use. It will be normalized, there will be tests, and there will be also ways to audit and validate the values that are put into a passport. This is quite an effort, so we will see that for the next 2 years, every sort of category that will be having a DPP will be working on creating this set of indicators, define the standards, and then they will put into the official DPP requirements. Now, the DPP aims to drive resource efficiency, and that is sort of in multiple stages of the life cycle. We already have manufacturing efficiency, using of recycled content, but we have more, and that's sort of also other parts of the life cycle of a product. Now, first step is, of course, hey, I want to buy more sustainable products. So then consumers, but also procurement managers in companies like retailers and wholesalers should be able to see, okay, how sustainable is this product from a production perspective? Is it made from recycled materials? From a usage perspective, it's highly energy efficiency. It has an energy efficiency label A++. And what's the durability of the lifespan expectations? Is it repairable or is it made of durable materials, like we said with the indicators for color fakeness? And that all three sort of will help make the right buying decisions, that we buy products that will, over the lifetime of a product, consume maybe less resources. The second part is about extending the lifespan. So the lifespan can be extended in various ways. At first starts, of course, with durable materials. Then, if it then has maybe any damage, can we repair it? So can we enable resource repair centers so that with the data that they can start repairing more, do more repairing on products instead of throwing it away and buy a new product. We can even support remanufacturing, where the product comes back and then it's put on the market again as refurbished product. And the DPP can also help to drive second-hand sales. So that will be new platforms where second-hand products will be sold and get a second or maybe a third life even after they've been used for the first time. So all focused on making sure that we use the resources as long as we can, so that we have less need to pull out new natural resources from the planet, because that's the whole goal. And then the last part, finally, there's nothing more we can do. We have to dispose it. And then, of course, it's all about recycling, and recycling in the sense that we need to be able to recover all the materials at the highest grade as possible, that we can use them for quality new products. And then the collectors and the recyclers need data on that product so that they can sort of pick it up, sort it in the right way, process it in the right way, that we can maybe fully reuse everything, every component of every single product. And that's also requires data. So if an item comes in, the recycling facility needs to know, hey, what is this? What can we do with it? So that's also a part of the digital product passport. So it's quite a big list of actors and a lot of use cases that we think that the digital product passport will support. Now, technically, what is the DPP? So the DPP is a federated system of technical data sets. So what does that mean? A federated system, that means that the data is staying at the manufacturer of the economical operator, as it's called in the regulation. They can, of course, outsource that to a service provider, maybe a PIM provider or PLM provider that hosts the data set, but there will not be a central super database with all the digital product passports. There will, however, be a central registry. The EU will set up a registry where every economical operator, the company that puts a product on the market, will need to register any digital product passport for any product that has to be provided with a digital product passport. In this registry, there will only be a very, very limited set of fields. So the first field that we see is the product identifier, or the DPP identifier. That's of course essential for whatever data set that needs to be linked. The second one is the identifier of the economical operator. So that's the company ID that we can find out, okay, who puts this product on the market. Most likely also the facility identifier. That's not an easy one. That's sort of the last production place where the item is changed or touched before it's being put on the market. A commodity code, that's used for customs. Is this a DPP regulated product? Based on the commodity code, and so which of these DPPs, because every category will have a different setup of this digital product passport. There will be then the link towards the digital product passport, so that you can get from that central registry to the data set, providing all these data points for these maximum of 16 aspects. And there will also be required a link to a backup digital product passport. So the idea is that if you put, let's say, a washing machine on the market, and it has to be there, the passport has to be there for 25 years, that maybe your service provider goes bankrupt, or maybe you as a manufacturer go bankrupt, then the passport should still be there. So the moment you put it on the market, a copy is stored at a backup location that, in case that's needed, that backup will take over the role once the primary solution provider or the primary manufacturer is no longer there. So that's also a big part of this whole digital product passport system or framework, which will be put into place. Now, to make things even more complex, is that we have digital product passports at 3 granularity levels. So that's what the EU has defined at the moment. And the 3 levels are model, batch, and individual item. So let's now dive into all 3, starting with the model level. So model is what we consider a production variant, or in other words, a unique bill of materials. So every time you change anything in the bill of materials of a product, maybe you rechange the Bluetooth chip, or you move to a new packaging which has a higher percentage of recycled content, you need to create a new model because the bill of materials has been changed. Now this model digital product passport applies then sort of to all the products which you then after start producing and putting on the market, which of course is then a more generic digital product passport. This model digital product passport is the only digital product passport which you can use in the commercial process. So if you look at sales process or procurement process that say, hey, we maybe are looking to put a new product in our assortment, or a manufacturer has maybe a new product coming shipping and they want to inform their customers about that new product, then the product is not even produced maybe, they can already exchange this model digital product passport with all, you could say, the promised sustainability indicators in there. So that's the first one. The second one is more granular, and that's the batch digital product passport. This means that you start a new production run, maybe for next week, the first 3 days, we produce a new run, and then we have a batch digital product passport, and then you can include more tracking and tracing information compared to the batch of last week. So batch is more granular than model, and a batch always refers to a model. So it's part of a model. One model can have multiple production runs. Every production run will then have or might have a batch digital product passport. The third one is even more granular, and that's on individual item level. Now, we already sort of know that kind of information, and that's for your own car. Your car has a maintenance history, and that's linked to your vehicle identification number. That's a unique number for your car, and then we know, hey, it was delivered to you in this configuration, this was the maintenance, this was the repairs that have been done, this maybe was any accidents it was involved. So then we move to individual items. So individual digital product passports are really one-on-one, and are also not needed for every category. So that's also something that the EU will define. So we have all these categories. We have garments, we have detergents, we have battery passport for electrical vehicles. And they, per category, will say, okay, this is the granularity level that we require. And high-end luxury complex items with a long lifespan most likely will end up in the individual level, but for instance, simple things like t-shirts most likely will stay at model level. No need to go deeper. There is no added value. So that's again to be determined. It has not been yet set in stone. These 3 levels has been defined, and now it's waiting until the final setup, which one will maybe apply to your category. Now I will now I'll show on the screen an example of how a DTP then can look like, because the DPP most likely again to be defined, but for now that's the preference of most, is that it becomes a JSON LD dataset. So that's really technical, but JSON is a technical language to describe data. This example on the screen shows then a possible DPP where we show 3 indicators, 2 on the durability, the one on pilling and the one on the color fading. And below that, you see at the bottom, you see a life cycle assessment. So that's about environmental impact, in this case, the famous carbon footprint. Okay, what's then the carbon footprint? And everything will be coded. So you exchange codes that everybody can instantly understand. If you're Italian or Spanish, translate that into their systems. Say, hey, we're now sourcing a product. This is the sustainability profile based on the DPP. So again, the DPP is a technical data set ready to be used for machine-to-machine distribution. How are DPPs then created? Again, that depends a bit on the granularity level. So if we start with the first one, the model one, it's most likely will be automatically generated by your PIM or PLM or MDM system. So once a new product is created, all the information related to the aspects which are relevant for the category will be entered into your database, and then one process will generate this technical data set, will put it online in your own server or for a service provider, and then register that DPP at that central registry in the EU. Now then, that data can then be used by, for instance, ERP systems of your customers, retailers, wholesalers, to pull out the data from your products, pulling in this DPP data into their own systems. So we have a standard format, a standard structure, standard indicators, all are coded, so everybody can you can process one digital product passport, you can sort of process them all, will be used to share the data across the new actors in the value chain, including recycle facilities for sorting, including repair centers that want to know, hey, what type of components can I source and what is repairable or not. That's then included. If we then move to batch level granularity, that's a bit more complex, because then most likely the data comes from your ERP system. And then the ERP system knows, okay, this production run for this week has these additional tracking and tracing parameters. And then they generate this batch passport linked to the batch ID. And that batch passport then links to the model passport for the generic attribute. So it's a really distributed system of data sets. And of course, individual is even more complex. Individual item with an identifier, like that vehicle identification number, that's one car. You go into the passport of that one car that shows your individual maintenance history, but also links to the generic information of the model, the car model that you bought in the beginning when that started. Now, and also that batch data can then be made available to whatever actor is in the market that needs that data. Now, the EU will most likely use it in a slightly different way. They have that central registry of all the passports, and they can use that to scan the market. So they can say, hey, for this category, how many products are there with the lowest billing rate? And if we no longer want that, or we want to maybe put a tax on that because we don't want these low quality products anymore, they can do it. Or they can say, we block from next year all products from outside the EU which have a billing rate 2 or lower. So that's again a sort of additional layer. And of course they learn a lot about what's the sustainability profile of all products in the market. So they will use this central registry. Now, the DPP information can also be used linked to a physical item. So that's sort of the last part of the puzzle. If you have a product in your hands in the supermarket, or you have a product in your hands, let's say a power drill, which you want to use in your garden and it doesn't work anymore, then you can find either QR codes or RFID codes or something, or RFID chips or anything else on that product, which you then can scan with a RFID scanner or with your phone. And depending on the device and the software, again, an RFID scanner by a professional company, let's say a recycling facility, they will just get to the data, that JSON data, get it in and read it online speed, so that goes super fast. And consumers, since they don't have software they will use their phone, and then we show what we call a dedicated product site. So the dedicated product site is linked to the product for consumers, and within that dedicated product site, which shows all information on the product, maybe allergens, nutrients for food or for fashion, washing instructions, that's not DPP regulated, but in that website you can also pull in the same JSON data set from the passport of that product and say, hey, can we know anything about the durability, repairability, and all that kind of information. So it's not only what you see a lot of examples now that only focus on the famous consumer with a phone, but that's just one of the many purposes of a DPP. And what you see on the screen is definitely not the DPP, it's a representation of the data that is in that digital product passport. So that's it. That's sort of the first part of this introduction. And again, nothing is final. Everything is a moving target. So we're on our way. For the next 2 years, the focus is on finalizing the definitions for the digital product passport for garments and footwear. Made out of textile, so leather and fur and neoprene are of course then excluded. So it's all about knitted and woven materials. To be seen what the end result will be, and then we can see, okay, now we need solutions, and am I affected? That's step 1, and step 2 is then, okay, then we need solutions. But this at least gives you an idea, maybe helps you to determine, is there any action needed already? Can we maybe start preparing, or is it just not too early and we're going to wait until the final, the definition of any DPP relevant for you is there?